Hello guys, and welcome to the White Rabbit Trading Channel. Before we begin, please take a moment to read the disclaimer below. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor and everything here is for educational purposes only. Alright, let's dive in. In the previous video, we looked at the monthly statistics around the monthly open and the weekly close. I also analyzed the weekly wick and explained that they often get filled. Now, for this to happen, we wanted to see a structure break and for support to turn into resistance. Of course, it could hold, and we would be ready, but the plan was also to trade the structure break, targeting lower levels. So, I traded this as it unfolded. I was up early on Monday open, observing the local structure. At that moment, I didn't want to short because both the main structure and the local structure were still in an uptrend. I wanted to see a sign of weakness by breaking support and the open range. Along with the idea that Bitcoin could potentially move down first, I took the trade. At that time, only the local structure was broken, so I had to scale in on the green candle. Later in the day, we saw a main structure break. Then, during the New York Open, there was a move up. My initial thought was that it was nice to hit take profit one. But I also figured New York might want to make money, so they filled their positions. To be honest, they broke through the local resistance that Bitcoin had at that time, and I considered closing the rest of the position at break-even. Luckily, the price stopped at the daily open range again, so I kept the position open, and today it finally hit take profit. I also switched into a long as this video comes out, with take profit one already hit. So, what do we want to see next, and what's the worst case scenario? Well, it's still basically the same. I want to see structure changes, whether they happen here by forming a range and then breaking to the upside, or if we go a bit deeper for liquidity slightly below, perhaps even into the monthly statistical wick areas. This is a slightly larger area where we have to watch for support levels. The best case scenario would be if it takes out some liquidity and then reclaims a level, as that would signify a finished business. However, sometimes, especially in a really bullish market, they leave liquidity for much later. Since we can never be 100% sure of what will happen, we manage risk and aim to trade at the best levels. Of course, this requires patience and avoiding FOMO. For this move here, I got stopped out after some profit, but it's still a losing trade, and I simply waited for the next one. In ranges like this, where things are unclear, they're often designed to take money from traders. Of course, if you're a pro scalper like my friend K1, these moves can still bring profits. Now, let's take a quick look at today's data. The average loss is about 2.5%, and the average gain is 1.89%. Bitcoin moved close to the average loss and into the order block, which makes a nice confluence. Where the day closes will determine which potential levels could be hit tomorrow. As I mentioned, I will be looking for any setups in this area. Invalidation would be a weekly close below the last low, which would imply acceptance back into the lower part of the range. We would then have to work with the new data. Looking at December stats, the lows for the month typically come early or within the first 8 to 9 days on average. So, it could mean that we just range here for a bit longer. You need to watch for signs like structure breaks and points of interest, ideally with confluences. I always try to secure some profits and leave the rest as a runner, adding to the position if the trend continues, just like with the current swing position. Stay tuned for the levels. Look for reactions, watch for structure, or use whatever tools help you feel confident in taking a trade. Manage your risk, know your invalidation points, and don't be afraid to take trades at the planned levels. Remember, no one knows exactly what the price will do, but with some experience and statistical insight, you can often spot what might happen, like using monthly opens and weekly opens and daily statistics with support or resistance levels to build a plan. Of course, it's not the only way, but one I like and it works fine for me. Now, about the bearish scenario I just explained and the potentially range before the bigger move. Now in the most bullish scenario, if we move up from here, you shouldn't FOMO into a trade without a clear setup. Instead, look for signs like daily candle closes above key levels, then look for pullbacks and retests of previous resistance that could turn into support. Of course, use proper risk management to avoid getting caught in a bad trade, as it could just break lower. This data isn't available yet, so we'll adapt when it becomes clearer. Until then, I hope you're doing well. Stay patient, follow your plan, and manage your risk. That's it for today's update. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I'll keep you updated as the market develops. Until then, trade safe, and I'll see you in the next one.